time. It's a driving force behind all of our actions. Without time, life goes on forever, and one of the things that we as humans have to come to terms with is that our time is limited. One day, we will all die, and with us, all of our desires, dreams, and aspirations will be turned to nothing but dust. And so with what little time we have on this earth, we desire to leave an impact, a sort of memento to our existence that proves we were here. This right here is the first opening line from my video, How to Make a Minecraft World Last Forever. It's a good video, I would say. It's a video that's been caught up in production for a long time because of factors outside of my control. I can't get everybody back on the world because our schedules conflict with each other. We don't have enough time to get together to finish the video, and with that lack of time, it makes me want to work on it even more. I have about 3 pages of a script done, almost 3,000 words on it, and I can't finish the video. Not because I don't want to, but because we don't have time. And with it, my relationship with time became very complicated. I'm sure, as you know, as much as I've been on this channel before, you probably know about the time that I was expelled from the first grade, or the time that my mother tried to kill me, or the time that this, that, and the other happened. But truthfully, that is just those lingering thoughts. It's just my manifestation on what time has done to my life. Think about it. I didn't get out of there till I was 18. We have, what is it, maybe 70, 80 years on Earth? That's a quarter of my life just snapped out of existence because I had a really bad parent. And for as much as I'd like to say that I can go back and get those years, I know I can't. And because I can't, it really upsets me. It really upsets me to think of how much people have gotten away with, how much people were able to do to me, and how much people were able to still do to me just because I don't have the bigger number. And it really does frustrate me. It's created a horrible ego complex of mine in which I just cannot get away from. But what is a dream if not for time? As I said, we'll all return to the ground one day from which we came, and there is nothing that we'll be able to do about it. We just have to trudge along through each day, acting like time is not a force that exists. Every now and then, death comes to scare us, but we still manage to find our way out of things, no matter how difficult it may be. So, with that, I wanted to share my story. I wanted to share a story about time. I wanted to make time something that is so outlandishly amazing that everybody will be able to experience what time truly has to offer. Because for as much of a hindrance as it is, as much of a block it is also a guiding force that inspires us to come up with our true aspirations, our creativity, and the things that we leave behind to make sure we aren't forgotten. The story goes a little something like this. As you know, I was a troubled kid. You've probably seen it all with the videos already, but things were very, very difficult for me growing up. I lived with an absent father and a completely abusive mother who would not let me do anything with my life. As a matter of fact, my father wasn't even abandoned. He was kind of cut out of my life by my mother for, unironically, not caring enough about her morning sickness. And ever since then, I was really never the same. I actively knew that years of my very precious, very limited lifetime were being eroded away from me, and I wasn't able to do a single thing about it because she had more power, she had more control over me, she had more everything. And for as unfair as it was, as for horrible as it was, at the end of the day, she was the parent, I was the child. And because of that dynamic, I was never really able to give my side of anything. If it was, it would always just be dismissed as, well, this kid doesn't know what he's doing, he's a kid, he should listen to his mother, which is a normal thing that you should think when a kid opens up to you about something, right? But anyways, it really got hard for me come around 2021, I believe. You see, I had just gotten my phone, and I had turned 15 around the time. And to cut a long story short, if you want to see the full story, go watch the video linked up at the top right here. But long story short, my mother tried to kill me. She tried to choke me out to get a phone away from me that had plenty of evidence saying that she was confessing to every single crime under the sun. It was ridiculous, and I thought I was going to die that night. And since then, it really got me thinking about what I should do if the world really doesn't care about me. And I made a video on that too, but I really wanted to focus in on time and how much time really means to us. Because we can sit here all day if we want, right? We can pretend like the world around us isn't some sort of a horrible chamber of death and despair that we live in. But the truth is, it is, and there's not much we can do about it. The only thing we can do is sit back and roll with the punches and hope that things turn our way, which it rarely ever does. And that is not by mistake. That is very intentionally by design, right? The system is designed for us to stay trapped in one spot for the rest of our lives, and we kind of just have to either accept that or try as hard as we can to break out of the mold, like I am doing with this YouTube channel, like I am doing with all of the other side projects of my life that have never really went anywhere. But there's always that hope in me. Hope that with enough time, if enough time passes, I will finally be able to achieve that goal. I mean, think about it. Before I uploaded the one video that catapulted my channel, it was 11 years. 11 years of my life that I had poured into a YouTube channel, off and on. And the one video that happens to blow up is something that, well, I dislike. It's not like the video itself is bad or anything. I mean, it's definitely lower quality than the rest of them. But the video itself, it was all about my lowest moments in life. And knowing that my time and my legacy would have been used, if not to just remember the negativity about me, it is a feeling that is very disgusting for me to even try to wrap my head around. Because nobody should be remembered for their worst moments. Nobody wants to be known for their worst moments. They want to be known for the other things that they've done in their life. The time that they have spent trying to make the world a better place, the time that they have spent trying to uplift others in their lives, and the time that they spent working on themselves. That's what they want to be remembered. They don't want to be remembered for something that is, well, in the grand scheme of things, not that important. But that's the tricky part. Obviously, if it was simple to just say that I want to do this and put in the work, I mean, wouldn't more people be YouTubers? Wouldn't more people be celebrities? Wouldn't more people be musicians or artists? You know, the real fulfilling to the human spirit, those jobs. But unfortunately, they need to put people in certain jobs, and so how they do it is they waste their time with it. Think about this. I have work at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going to be up till 2 a.m. editing, recording, and making this video. That gives me less sleep than I should have, and it's horrible, because I know that the world is designed in a way to make it so I will never have enough time to achieve my goals, but that doesn't mean time's going to stop for me. It's going to keep marching onwards, and with time being such an important thing, I sometimes wonder if my life really even means anything. You see, back when I was around 9 years old, I figured out that my grandmother was diagnosed with stage 3+ ovarian cancer. And this is not her first encounter with cancer. It was her, second encounter? She had a brain tumor at 7 years old. It was inoperable, it was cancerous, and it was spreading. But miraculously, by the grace of God, she survived. And because of that, I was born, my mother was born, and my 2 siblings were born. And to think about how different the passage of time would have been if she had died to that brain tumor, I wouldn't even want to imagine. I wouldn't exist. A lot of people that I care about wouldn't exist. You know, a lot of people's lives wouldn't have been touched and changed by either my stories, my personality in real life, or anything else in between. So when I figured out that my grandmother had cancer the second time, she cried. She didn't want to go back in for chemo. And she said that she's just going to let her die, get the tumor out, she'll live for 5 years, and she'll pass away. That was 10 years ago, and of course, since my grandmother is still here right now, she obviously decided to take the chemo, and it was rough on her. I saw her in the bathroom being all kinds of messed up. You know, I had to help her wipe, I had to help her eat and drink and sleep, all as a young child, and it was very difficult to move on from these moments that I understood. I couldn't even sleep in my grandmother's bed because she was afraid that the chemo would get on me, which, you know, it isn't how that works, but it's still fun to think about how much concerned she was overall as us at the same time, right? And that moment was when time was first put into my mind. What would have happened if my grandmother died? That's what really got me thinking. Because if my grandmother were to not exist, I mean, God, I wouldn't exist, I know that much. I'm rambling, I'm sorry. Point is, she survived. Albeit barely. You know, 3+ is the stage right before terminal cancer, and if she waited just a little bit longer, she would have had stage 4, and there's nothing anybody could dump her at that moment. And knowing that my time was limited, that was my first experience with death. And a few years later down the line, I'm 16 here, right? We had 2 little pet guinea pigs, right? And they lived for about 2 years. Now, I know what you're thinking. 2 years is short for a guinea pig, isn't it? Well, they ate some lettuce, and I don't know if they got E. coli or something, but they all died within 24 hours of each other. And so I remember going out in the backyard on that nice snowy day, digging through the frozen ground, trying to dig a grave for 2 little rodents that passed way too soon. And I remember my sister came home and cried, my brother came home and cried, they all cried, my mother cried. I was the only one to not shed a tear. Is that a lack of empathy, or is that a lack of understanding of the situation? I don't know. I'll leave you guys to decide that one. But knowing that our time is limited, that once again reinforced, I've got to get out of here. I've got to make something for myself and for the people around me if I really want to be anything. And it sucks to know that sometimes trying your best isn't going to make all that much for you. It's not going to get you any sort of people that are willing to come along with the ride for you. It's not going to help inspire people. It's not going to uplift people. And if I were to not tell the story today, I likely would have went to the grave without ever telling anybody, and nobody would have ever known of the struggles that my grandmother went through. And so understanding those struggles really emphasizes how important time is to me. Time is more than just a number. It is an expression of your determination, of your dedication. The more things you achieve, the more that time is going to be nice to you, the more that time is going to feel like it's worthwhile. But if you're stuck in poverty, if you're stuck in a horrible country that, doesn't care, like some, I don't know, South American or African countries where they're not as well off, it really gets you thinking that how much different your life could have been, how much less time would have you had, because hell, even Spawn Location is about time itself, and it really sucks. It really gets me thinking, and I know that no matter how hard I try to shake the feeling that life is miserable and meaningless, I won't be able to, because there's always that nagging feeling in the back of my head. What happens when I'm gone? Who will remember me? Will it even be worth doing anything if everybody on the planet will one day forget that we exist? Not to sound dark here, but it makes it kind of hard to give it your all, knowing that everything is just going to end one day without any warning. And so I just trudge along. I keep moving on day by day, trying to make the most out of every situation that I possibly can, in hopes that one day things will be better for me, things will be better for my family, and that I'll finally be able to do the thing that I've always desired most in my life: helping people. When I was 7 years old, I met somebody in my life who would have undoubtedly had the largest impact on me ever. Their name is, well, I'm not going to be giving the real name because I don't want to drop them here, but we're going to call them Alex, right? So Alex was a very good friend of mine that I got to meet. Me and him would sleep over all night, every single day, as our parents were off doing their own thing, whether that be, going out to eat or dinner or something. We would frequently visit each other's houses, and we got to grow a strong bond together. Eventually, one day, we all moved in together as my mom and Alex's father ended up getting married, and life was very good back then. Those are what I would call the golden years of my childhood, before my mom got too crazy, but back when everything was still intact. From the ages of around 8 to 12 were my best years. Every single day, we would get up, we would play Xbox, we would have a whole bunch of stuff together, we'd go outside, explore the woods, do all kinds of training. And, yeah, I remember to this day picking up a stick off the ground, and them and I just whacking each other with it, seeing who could land the first hit who on it. It's actually probably part of the reason why I managed to catch my mother's hit in that video. But, unfortunately, all good things come to an end, and eventually it turned out that Alex's father was having an affair with my mother, and my mother was distraught by this. She ended up losing her mind, as a lot of people in that situation would. She started lashing out on me, calling everything my fault, and it's what really led to the misery. All of the abuse stems from that and her time in the army, which is a story for another day. And, of course, Alex ended up leaving as well, and we didn't really stay in contact that much after that. We had Discord that we shared, but our relationship was strained, as we already didn't we're on the best terms. We were a bunch of young children. We didn't really know how to navigate social situations, so we ended up reconnecting back in 2023 for a little bit, before I then made the worst mistake of my life, right? I'm not going to sugarcoat too much here, alright? I ended up threatening my brother, and that was the end of their relationship. Alex and I, we parted ways, and we have never spoke again since then. And I keep thinking back to that time. What could have I done differently? What could have I said differently? Is there anything that I could have possibly done to make things not go away? Because I liked the way that things were. And after Alex was gone, well, I didn't really have anything for the longest time, until I met somebody else, which, well, we all know how that went. So let's just not talk about it, okay? It's just, sometimes I wish I could go back, You never realize how important memories are until they're faded. If time keeps moving forward, then the only way we can relive these moments is by keeping them in our memories. And with that, the memory of what could have been sometimes hurts more than the memory of what actually happened. You see, I never thought I would be in a position where I would actually be making YouTube videos and making, like, actual money off of them. Like, I know it doesn't sound like much, but genuinely, thank you to every single person who has helped me through all of the garbage. Thank you to every single person who subscribed, liked, commented, just watched the video, give a thumbs up, I don't care. Genuinely, you being here really makes me feel like my life has a lot more purpose than it did before. I know that might sound superficial, but you gotta understand, I was coming from literally nothing, right? I had no job, I had no financial profits, I had no money left in my account. All I had was a wish and a will, and somehow that was enough to manifest a whole community of people who are interested and who like me for what I talk about, not because I want to make some super over-the-top, overly exaggerated gameplay video with like a million edits, but genuinely just because they find the story of Trilad so interesting. And you know, I've really never understood that. How could somebody who doesn't even know me care so much and know so much about me to the point where they're willing to help me out with literally anything? It's fascinating to think about. It's fascinating to think about how the world really confides itself in you when it feels like you're worthy, and blocks you out when it feels like you're not. And I didn't even do anything to get here. I just got a little bit lucky. Like, if we're being completely honest, I don't know where we're gonna go from here. But all I can say is that time is a bitch. Okay, time will move on. Time will not stop moving forward. And the only thing you can do is sit back and accept the fact that, you know, life might not be how you wanted it to be. And that's okay. Because, listen to me, guys. There's always going to be another tomorrow. You're always going to have another chance to make of what time what you wanted it to be. It is the truth of life is that no matter how hard things might seem, no matter how much you might want to just sit down in the moment and feel like, dang, this sucks, you know, you've always got the ability to look forward to the future. And the future is where we're living. We're not living in the past, we're not living in the present, we are living in our futures. So take destiny by the reins, grab onto it, push forward and keep making sure that you'll make it through everything. Time hates you, time doesn't want you to succeed, but you are better than time, because you have one thing that time doesn't have. You have a soul, and that soul will lead you to do great things in this world, my friends. My name is Trilad, have an awesome night, and thanks for watching. Bye bye!